Welcome to the Introduction to CAD and CAE. In Design Visualization Part 2, you create photorealistic renderings using cloud rendering and local real-time ray tracing. After completing this lesson, you will be able to apply various settings for a rendered image of an electric shaver, apply decals to the circuit board in the shaver, apply different appearances to components, use the cloud renderer to create a realistic image of the shaver, use in-canvas render to create realistic images of the shaver, and save a rendered image. I've opened the supplied file called Shaver Complete, and we can see all the components. There are a number of internal components that I'd like to look at as well, so let's go over into the browser and hide one of the housings. Now we can see all of the parts that are inside the shaver. I'm going to go to Model, Render, and start the process of creating the photorealistic renderings. I'm going to go to Look At. I'll look at the face of that little circuit board. Now, one of the housings is kind of in the way, so I'm going to turn the visibility of that off at the moment. In Setup, I have a number of options. I'm going to go to Decal, select the face, then select one of the supplied images. And this one's Chip Yellow 1. You can see that image has been placed on that face, but the scale is incorrect. Also, the orientation is incorrect, so I have to rotate that around. Move it so it's approximately in the center, and then start to scale it up. Moving it around, this takes a few seconds to do. You want it to be fairly close. I'm going to focus on some of the parts on the circuit board and then try and map the decal to that. You also need to toggle off chain faces. At the moment that decal is around the sides and on the back of that circuit board. We just want it on this front face. So I'll continue to move that around until it's approximately in position. It doesn't have to be 100% correct. As long as it's pretty close, that will work out quite well. Let's move it again a little bit. And that's looking pretty good. So once you're content with the look of that, you can go to the dialog box and click OK. We have a decal for the other side as well. So same workflow, look at, select the face, go to Setup, Decal, select the face, and then the image. And it's Chip Green 2. Click Open, and same workflow as before. We're going to rotate and change the scale. So making that larger. And again, I'm going to focus in on one of the parts on the circuit board to help me align that decal. Don't forget to turn off chain faces. Zoom in so we can see it a little better. That looks quite good. Click OK. And now we can see both decals have been applied to that circuit board. Turn the visibility of the housing back on. There are a number of options under Setup. In this case, I'm going to go to Scene Settings. Go to Solid Color. I like to use a white background. So let's move that little indicator up to the top right. And all of these values for RGB should be 255. Click OK. Go to the Environment Library. And we have a number of environments we can put this shaver into. I'm going to go with Cool Light. You can experiment with all of these and see the different effects that you get. Back to Settings. Click on Position. And this will move the lighting around. I'm looking for a fairly even lighting and highlighting those features which I think are important. Again, if it doesn't work the first time, you can come back in and change that. Click on Position to set that. Turn off the ground plane. With focal length, move the slider to see the effect. With this shaver, it's actually fairly effective, but I'm going to take it back to the original setting, the default of 90. And click Close. Now I want to add appearances. Currently there's just one in this design. I'm going to go to Plastic, Transparent. I'm looking for a clear plastic for the front of the electric shaver. So I'm going to use polycarbonate clear. This always renders very well. Close down the transparent folder. Then I'm going to go to Metal. Scroll down and I'm looking for stainless and stainless steel polished. Drag that onto one of the blades. And I can see that in this design, that was probably the default that was already there. So I can just drag that onto the other two just to make sure. So all three blades now are stainless steel. Close that folder. Back into Plastic, I'm going to go to Opaque and choose one of the glossy plastics that are available. I'm looking for red, there it is. Drag it onto that housing. Now looking around at all the other parts that we have, I'm going to be adding appearances to all of them. Let's go with black on that wire and blue. Look at the switch. I'm looking for a textured finish for that switch. So let's go into the plastics and see if we can find one. Here we have textured. I'm just going to go with the regular. Drag that onto the switch. And there are a variety of textures you can choose from. You can play with those and see which one you like best. Close that down. I've continued to add appearances and I've already started a cloud rendering. And if you look at the bottom left hand side of the screen, you can see a small clock. That's the cloud rendering in the background. Let's look at all of the appearances that I actually add. I changed from body components to faces, and you can see that I can get a better look to each of those components by changing the colors. Position the shaver. And now go to the in-canvas render. Well, notice at the bottom right-hand side of the screen, there are a number of settings all the way from excellent, final, to infinite. I'm going to change that back to final and let that run. I notice that my cloud rendering is complete, so let's click on that and have a look. So from the rendering gallery, that was the image that was saved. A number of things I can do. I could create a turntable. Gives an interesting look. I can download that and save it to a folder. And that's saved as a PNG file. And a number of actions, such as adjusting the exposure or deleting the image. If you don't want that one, you can just delete it out of the rendering gallery. So my second render is now finalized. You can see the iterations and the elapsed time that took, 154 seconds. And I want to save that. Click OK. Take the V7, which is the version number off the end. I'm saving it into my folder location as a PNG file and also onto my computer. So here's that image, and you can see how that polycarbonate clear works. These are different image with the other housing on. With the front cover taken off so you can see the gears. And a view from the back, and here you can see the circuit board and how well that worked out. So back into Fusion. I'm now going to come down to the live review session. I can show other members of the design team what I've done, share a public link out to the Fusion 360 gallery, or publish to GrabCAD. If I have a 3D printer available, I can also go to Make 3D Print and create a prototype. And don't forget, save your file.